Hi everybody, Ron Placone here, and welcome to another edition of Media Bites. Yesterday, CNN put out an article, and it was actually from CNN Money, which makes it a little bit interesting that it happened in this particular section, the financial section, and it's called Why Occupy Wall Street Fizzled. And the whole purpose of the article is to make it clear that, according to this article, Occupy Wall Street is dead, pretty much. The uprising is long over. Let's see here. Bray argued that Occupy birthed a new generation of young activists, and it also engendered national conversation about issues like class and what a truly equal world would look like, but he didn't deny the movement has fizzled out. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I've always been intrigued by the media's treatment of social movements, and there's kind of been a trend since the 60s where first you see marginalization, then you see kind of sensationalism and hyperbolization, and then finally you see kind of a certain trivialization of most social movements in the United States by the media. And I think Occupy Wall Street was no exception to this. You know, at first people didn't make it out like it was a big deal. It was like, oh, some people were in a park, whatever. Then it got a little bigger. So all of a sudden they started paying attention, but, you know, there were a lot of great minds that came and spoke at these events. There were artists and activists and people gathering together to discuss ideas, but largely what you saw in the media was the focus on the person that was dressed up as a tent, or the person that was maybe using illegal substances. You know, I mean, when you have such a big group gathered in all kinds of different places around the world, you know, you're going to have a few bad apples and a few people that are just kind of out there doing whatever, and that was kind of what the media focused on for a number of reasons. One, you know, like that grabs ratings quicker. That's, you know, more kind of fluff and an easier piece to do. And I was in Pittsburgh when Occupy was really full throttle, because I was still doing my master's degree, and I remember I went to the final day when they agreed to leave the parks in Pittsburgh, and I went to the park just to, you know, see what was going on. And there were some really, I mean, there were war veterans that were speaking, there were academics speaking, and there were all kinds of people speaking about the movement, what it meant to them, what they wanted to see happen in the contemporary United States. And the media wasn't anywhere close to them. They weren't anywhere close to these people that were speaking. Instead, they were just filming some of the people that were off a ways in costume, and they were filming the ground itself, being like, oh, look at this ground. It's not, you know, the grass is a little more brown now because they've been camping out here for so long. And I thought that was kind of... And I did take some footage on it. I wanted to be, you know, as kind of stealthy as I could, because I didn't want them to notice that I was filming them, even though I guess I could have, and, you know, they couldn't really do anything. But I was just kind of trying to be stealthy, and I screwed up the zoom, so whenever I would comment on it and I put the camera on myself, there was this really nasty zoom of my face. This was like real close up, so I was never able to use that footage because I was too embarrassed about what my face looked like. But anyway, so you saw that kind of marginalization here, and finally you're seeing the last chapter, which is, you know, they're trying to trivialize it. Well, it didn't really do anything, and it's fizzled out now. And you know, one could argue that, well, gee, actually the conversation has shifted a bit. You know, terms like the 1% and the 99%, those are commonplace now. They weren't before. But the media is not concerned with social movements in general, regardless of whatever political ideology it sides with, because that is something disrupting the status quo, a status quo that they're benefiting greatly from. So, of course, you know, they want to paint the picture that anything shifting the status quo would be some kind of a bogus idea, you know, and should be trivialized and marginalized and made fun of. That's kind of the main theme that you'll see in the main corporate media regarding social movements, even to some degree the Tea Party. Which, you know, and the reason I say that is because, you know, the Tea Party, with how much it's funded by the Koch brothers and so forth, I mean, I would not call that a grassroots social movement. I think calling the Tea Party a grassroots social movement is like calling Walmart a mom-and-pop store. It's just not accurate. But even that movement, you know, is often just sensationalized and hyperbolized, and the actual principles are often overlooked, even in regards to the Tea Party. So, And this trend kind of started in the 60s. Can probably go back even before that, but really started getting some momentum in the world of academia in the 60s, where people analyzed this in regards to the way the media treated the SDS and stuff like that. So it's interesting to see Wall Street, or excuse me, Occupy Wall Street, finally come full circle, and it's being covered in CNN Money, which of course deals with Wall Street issues and money issues. So it's interesting that they're the ones finally declaring that Occupy Wall Street has apparently fizzled out. So it's interesting to see the media on social movements, and it's just another testament to how anything that wants to shift the status quo is really kind of, stamped out by this main corporate media, because that does not stand for their self-interest. So thanks for tuning in, and this is Ron Placone signing out.